Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. Today we look at the physics of weight and the terrifying reality of human density. In the grand hierarchy of the galaxy, most intelligent life followed a very specific evolutionary path, the path of grace. The Sylph-Ar were the ultimate example of this. Evolving on a moon with less than 0.3 gs of gravity, they were creatures of air and light. Their bones were hollow, filled with delicate air sacs that made them incredibly fast and agile. Their technology followed their biology. They did not believe in messy kinetic projectiles or dirty explosions. They mastered the art of mass repulsion. The Sylph-Ar weapons were elegant. They fired beams of concentrated gravitons that interacted with the Higgs field of an object, pushing it away with the force of a hurricane. To a Sylph-Ar, war was a game of positioning. You did not kill your enemy with a bullet, you simply pushed them into space or against a wall or off a cliff. Their repulsion walls were considered the ultimate defense. Anything with mass was simply shoved back. If a boulder was thrown at them, it would stop in midair and fly back at the thrower. It was a clean, bloodless, and absolute form of combat. When the Sylph-Ar decided to annex the human mining colony on Grave 9, they expected a quick and orderly transition. Grave 9 was a heavy world, a place of dense iron deposits and high gravity, nearly 1.5 times that of Earth. The Sylph-Ar stayed in their floating anti-gravity platforms, looking down at the human miners. High Harmonizer Kale looked through his crystalline view lens at the human settlement below. To his eyes, the humans were ugly, blocky creatures. They moved with a strange, heavy deliberateness. They didn't glide, they stomped. Their buildings were low and thick, bolted deep into the iron-rich crust of the planet. These creatures are made of lead and stubbornness, Kale remarked to his attendants. But they are still biological. Activate the repulsion harmonizers. Push them out of the valley. If they refuse to leave, we will simply blow them away like dust from a countertop. Kale did not understand the concept of relative density. He did not realize that humans did not evolve on a moon of air. We evolved on a planet that spent 4 billion years trying to pull us into its core. Our bones are not hollow. They are dense, mineralized structures designed to support 100 kilograms of weight under constant, crushing pressure. Our muscles are not light filaments. They are thick, high-torque cables. The Sylph-Ar platforms descended, glowing with soft blue light. They activated their primary impact null beam. It was a massive wave of kinetic energy designed to sweep a battlefield clean. As the blue light washed over the human mining camp, Kale expected to see the humans tumble backward, their bodies flying through the air like autumn leaves. Instead, the sensors registered something impossible. The humans didn't fly. They didn't even fall over. Major Elias Anvil Henderson was the commander of the local security detachment. He was a man built like a cargo container, with shoulders that seemed to take up 2 zip codes. When the blue light hit him, he felt a sudden, massive pressure against his chest. It was like walking into a solid wall of water. Shields up. Henderson roared over the comms, his voice deep and gravelly. He wasn't talking about energy shields. He was talking about the massive, lead-weighted riot shields the miners used to protect themselves from high-pressure steam leaks. The miners grabbed their shields and dug their heels into the iron dust soil. Harmonizer, increase the output, Kale commanded, his 4 eyes twitching in confusion. Why are they still there? The force we are projecting should be enough to lift a freighter. The Sylph-Ar technician adjusted the levers. The blue beam intensified until it was a blinding, roaring tunnel of light. The air itself began to scream as it was shoved aside by the graviton wave. On Grave 9, the atmospheric pressure was already high, and the repulsion beam was compressing it into a solid wall of kinetic force. Henderson felt the ground beneath his boots groan. On Grave 9, the gravity was already pulling him down with incredible force. His heart was pumping blood with the power of a high-pressure engine just to keep him conscious. To him, the Sylph-Ar beam was just a bit more gravity coming from the wrong direction. He leaned forward. He shifted his weight, centering his mass. His thick thigh muscles, developed over years of living in 1.5 gs, bunched and tightened like steel springs. Is that all you got? Henderson muttered. I've been in windier elevator rides. Then he took a step. His boot, reinforced with tungsten plates, slammed into the gray rock. The rock shattered under the combined weight of his body and the force of the beam pushing him down. He took another step. And another. Inside the Sylph-Ar platform, the alarms were reaching a fever pitch. Targeting error. The technician yelled. The subject is not being displaced. The mass readings are off the charts. It is like trying to push a mountain with a fan. How can a creature that small be so heavy? Kale whispered. He watched as Henderson, followed by 50 other miners, began to walk straight through the repulsion field. They looked like ancient statues come to life, moving with a slow, terrifying momentum. Every step they took left a crater in the ground. They were not fighting the energy, they were simply ignoring it. Their density was so high and their center of gravity so low, that the repulsion beam could not find enough leverage to lift them. It was a nightmare of physics. To the Sylph-Ar, everything was light. They lived in a world of feathers. Now they were facing a species that was essentially a collection of living anvils. Henderson reached the base of the Sylph-Ar platform's landing strut. The repulsion beam was still hitting him, but he was now so close that the energy was washing around him like a river around a boulder. He looked up at the crystalline underside of the alien craft. "My turn," Henderson said. He didn't fire a laser. He didn't use a missile. He reached out and grabbed the edge of the landing strut with his bare hands. His gloves were made of industrial-grade grip mesh. He planted his feet, locked his back and pulled. The Sylph-Ar platform, designed for low-gravity flight and held aloft by delicate anti-gravity nodes, was not built for a 200-pound human with a 1,000-pound grip strength to decide it was coming down. The platform tilted. Inside, the Sylph-Ar were thrown against the walls. They were so light that the impact shattered their hollow bones. Cale screamed as he felt his delicate ribs snap like dry twigs. "He is pulling us," the pilot shrieked. "The mammal is pulling a 3-ton platform out of the sky." Henderson wasn't just pulling. He was anchoring the ship to the high-gravity world of Grave 9. He was becoming a tether between the aliens' light-as-air technology and the planet's crushing reality. With a final, massive heave, Henderson yanked the strut downward. The anti-gravity nodes hissed and exploded, unable to fight the sudden violent shift in mass. The platform slammed into the iron dust ground with a sound like a falling cathedral. The battle was over in seconds. The Sylph-Ar guards tried to crawl out of the wreckage, but on Grave 9, without their anti-gravity suits, they could barely lift their own heads. The gravity they had ignored for so long was now their executioner. They lay in the dust, gasping as their own lungs collapsed under their own weight. Henderson walked over to the wreckage, the repulsion beam finally dead. He looked down at Cale, who was shivering in the dirt. "You guys have some fancy flashlights," Henderson said, wiping a layer of gray dust from his visor. "But you forgot one thing about humans. We don't like being pushed around. We spent our whole history fighting a planet that wanted us to stay in the mud. You think a blue light is going to change that?" The Sylph-Ar hegemony withdrew from human space 3 days later. They issued a galactic warning that changed the way every lightweight species looked at the Sol system. "Do not engage humans on high-gravity worlds," the warning read. "They possess a biological density that renders kinetic and gravitational weaponry ineffective. They are not merely soldiers, they are anchors of meat and bone. To fight them is to fight the very concept of mass. They do not fly and they do not fall. They only advance." Humanity had proven the ultimate physical HFY truth. You can have the most advanced energy weapons in the universe, but they don't mean a thing if the enemy is simply too heavy to move. We are the children of the deep well. We are the ones who stand our ground. And in a galaxy of feathers, we are the Iron Hammer. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. Hold your ground. Let them try to move you. If you enjoyed this victory of human mass over alien light, hit that like button. Comment below. If you lived on a high-gravity world, what is the first thing you would try to lift? Subscribe for the next front of the Apex Factor. The shock proof. The weight is heavy. The ground is ours.